To the Slideathon. I do again want to give a shout out to everyone behind the scenes who is working extremely hard to make this work. If you're watching, I hope you're having a good time. I'm having a blast in this club. But we are trying to raise awareness of the Slider Code, which is attached to Helium Comedy Club. So if you want to support this club, you've been hearing all day about how amazing it is. If you haven't been listening all day, you can go back. Everyone has a million great things to say about it. So buy some sliders. You got to eat anyway. You might as well support this club. Now we recorded a couple of interviews yesterday, so we're gonna go to Andy Main. I got to talk to her, and she did a Andrew Dice Clay impression at the end. That's fucking hilarious. So we'll go ahead and go to that, and then when we come back, we'll have Zach Descani on. So thank you for tuning in. As always, if you want to chat, let me know your favorite Helium memories. I might give you some free food. I can do whatever I want here. So we'll watch this video, and then I'll be back talking to y'all. Andy Main. What's up? I'm good. Oh, I think you're muted.
There we are.
Oh,
Woo!
it's so
What's
nice
up?
to see you. Oh, god damn, you're that tatted up now?
Yeah, dude. I
Yo,
got I got this Doug fir tree for Oregon,
nice.
and then I got this sloth because of 2020.
Yeah,
If you zoom in on his face, you'll be like, "That's a perfect representation of 2020."
I mean, if it's a dead sloth, maybe perfect representation.
Oh, he's almost there. He's very depressed.
It's so nice to see you.
Dude, it's great to see you, and it's great to see that fucking mural, man.
Oh yeah, it's still around. Not
Yeah.
down yet.
Every
Um,
time Drew Michael or Adam Caton Holland post their videos from the shows that they did at Helium, I'm like, I miss that stage, you know?
Pretty decent stage. It's all right.
It's
Um,
the best feeling in the world.
So we closed down again for the third time, and
Mhm.
the last time we closed down, we started a to-go restaurant called the Slider Co. And it didn't sell any sliders at all, and that was like 3 months worth. But this
Mm,
time it'll only be like 2 weeks, so we're like trying to let people know that by supporting the Slider Co. You're supporting Helium type of shit. So we're doing this
yeah.
telethon tomorrow just to let people know, like, hey, help or whatever. I don't know, even if it's help,
Hmm.
like, yo, support this place.
Hmm.
So I'm just hitting up like people who I don't know, I think have helped build this place to kind of get their memories more of the club. Like I don't give a fuck about the food necessarily because I mean it's good enough. People can eat it or whatever.
This place to kind
But
of get them.
I'm more wondering how. What are your memories of Helium in Portland?
I think one of the nicest touches you ever gave us as the manager was putting our handprints in that space right before we go on stage. Because that's like the most nerve. I think that when I'm a ghost, I'm gonna haunt that green room in that one little spot where you put the handprints, because that's where I've experienced the most stress of my entire life. But putting those handprints of all the comics up made me feel like I was part of something, and everyone whose hand has been placed in that little space has been through the same stress as me. So
Yeah,
isn't that
that's amazing. I never even thought of how stressful that, because I had to come out of that curtain and like do something, but I've never even thought about how stressful that is when you're like waiting, the announcements are getting said, and then it's like, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to laugh? And you're like, fuck, I hope I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, when I was just hosting a show, I wasn't nervous because I was established enough then, but it was really bad during contest time. During contest time is when you're fucking sweating. So,
That's coming back really soon too.
yeah, I'm moving back to Portland for it.
Gonna take it 2021, baby.
And then I'm moving right back. I'm just going to get a place for a month.
Well, you got the comedy fort now, right?
Yeah, dude, I invested in it. I took money from my house sale and invested 10 grand in it. So, it was amazing. And I'm doing that with Jackie Cation in a couple of weeks. So it's going really well. Like, I mean, shows are selling out, but that's also because we're at limited capacity, you
Yeah.
know?
Too. Do you think that you have taken anything from Helium and then kind of put it into the comedy fort too? You know what I mean? Like, for me, I've always tried to make this place feel comforting and fun over almost anything else and at any cost.
You
Um,
are?
but I'm because you're the only person I know who's invested in another club. Like, do you take things? Are there things from Helium that you're like, I'd like to see this in this place?
I don't have a lot. I'm letting David Rodriguez, the guy that's running it, I'm letting him do all of it. I'm not trying to give a lot of input just because he's got his vision and I trust it, but there's a someone did a hand stitch little circle, like one of those in cursive old lady types of like cross stitch things. And right before you go on stage it says don't fuck this up.
Oh, that's so cool. I bet it works though.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a great space because you don't even need it to be full for it to feel full. So every time I've performed there so far, it's just been wonderful. I get worried about Colorado being a purple state. That's something I learned as soon as I moved here. That like in Portland, like let's say that I was an 8 or a 9. That's how funny you'd rank me. But because people were laughing because they agreed with my politics out here, I lost like going to Comedy Works for the first time. I was like, oh, I have to write for Colorado now. You guys don't think it's cute when I'm talking about Bernie Sanders.
Right.
Um, yeah. So I've gotten a little bit away from politics and now I'm more talking about just being dumb. I think that's what audiences like for me is when I'm an idiot, when I'm a slutty idiot.
Who doesn't love a slutty idiot, yo? But I think in Portland, we're very lucky that the crowd will kind of go with you.
Hmm.
I mean, especially here at Helium, I think that we've built up enough cachet with acts like yourself or Ian Carmel or Ron Funches or Joanne
Sure, go
Stringer. Like,
ahead and compare me to them.
I am people who have a presence at this club, and I think people kind of like, all right, I'll go with you wherever you go, and that's been embedded into the fabric of this club where we get
Hmm.
really good crowds. 95% really good crowds who are like, yeah, yeah, I'm just here to have a good time because I've never been steered wrong at this club.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like you've created with your Wednesday showcases a way for comics to experiment with different types of comedy too. Like, just giving Phil Schallberger a Wednesday night is amazing, or Dan Weber, like doing that kind of shit. That's what builds the community for us comedians is when you believe in us like that. So,
Well, it's very easy to believe in the Portland comedy scene. Like even still, it's so diverse and
mhm.
different thoughts, and it's very cool and hip yet old school, where people are willing to work hard and put in the time to get better. It's like I don't know. I don't know if people in Portland understand how lucky they are to have this club, me included. Like it's an
Mm.
incredible.
I know how lucky I am to miss it. Like that's the
You
one
got
thing.
I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
say, you got a standing ovation in this room.
Yeah, dude.
You
I
know what I
did.
mean? You really reached the mountaintop.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys called me headliner all weekend.
Headliner. What did you do?
That was the last cool thing I did before COVID hit. And once the shutdown actually started and things were scary and weird, the one thing that, when we all lost comedy, I was like, well, at least I went out on a high note, like at least I got something really cool accomplished. And thank you for helping me with that.
Oh,
Because
you did.
that was an honor. Yeah, that was what, January of 2020? Yeah, that was January 2020, right before shit got weird.
Horrible. Well, do you have? I mean, because you got to open for some pretty cool people here. Are there any things that you remember, or any times where you're like, oh yeah, that was kind of cool? Because I mean, before Helium in Portland, there was no way you would be able to open for any comic worth anything,
Hmm.
unless you were at the Keller or some shit. But here
Yeah,
really gave us an opportunity to be around these really cool comics who are amazing A-list people.
yeah. one of my favorite memories was Guy Branum, and it was a late show, and he, like, the crowd just wasn't, crowd was being an asshole. I'd say, like, they were a little bit spread out. Some guy was heckling Guy, and then Guy stops and he's like, listen, if you want to open for me, you need to go back 8 years in time, go to an open mic, and change your name to Andy Main. And then you can open for me. And then, like, you know, like, getting to work with Moshe Kasher and Natasha was amazing too. You know, like, I've had some really emotional moments in my life that are, like, intertwined with the club. Like, there's 3 different ones. The first one was, like, my dad died, and that's okay because I wasn't close with him. But it was, like, right after I got passed at the club, like, and I was still kind of in the auditioning thing because you had me open for Chris Fairbanks at the Secret Headliner show, and Chris's mom had died like a week before, and so he also went on stage that night, and you know, I was just really raw, and I was like, hey, barely know ya, but my dad died today and now I'm on stage. And he's like, oh, I did that last week. And that's how we became friends. And we were, you know, like, we've done some really cool shit together since then. We went on tour, we've done podcasts together. Like, he's a great friend of mine because of that moment. And then the day that I broke up with my partner of 15 years, my strategy was, like, I told a bunch of friends I was going to do it. And then I did the breakup, and I got in my car. I texted a bunch of people, like, hey, I need a place to stay tonight. And I went to Helium to hang out and wait and see where where things went. And, I can't remember what comic was on that night. I was just so busy with the breakup. But then the last one, oh shit, I'm sorry. There I am. The last one that was, like, really, really impactful and important to me was the day I buried my sister. And Kyle Kinane was headlining that weekend. And you guys let me do a guest spot because I'm like, I'm in town after moving to Denver. I've only been gone for like a month. I got to come back and bury my sister. And oh, fuck, all I want to do is tell jokes at Helium. And you guys gave me a guest spot, and I got to tell the same jokes, which were the last ones that Katie heard, my sister. So that was, like, really, really special for me. So, like, yeah, at the most painful times in my life, you've made a home for me there.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, did you say you had an impression?
Yeah. Let me get, this is so stupid. Oh boy. I'm gonna do Andy Dice Clay for you. And I'm gonna sell some mozzarella sticks for you at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh boy, this is gonna go great.
I've been so excited for this.
Andy Dice Clay is a vegan. That's why she's not wearing a leather jacket. Oh, Andy Dice Clay also needs to look at her notes. Okay. Here we go. Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet, eating her curds away. Along came a spider and sat down beside her, and he said, "Hey, bitch, want to get some takeout from Helium? I hear they got sliders." Ow! Little boy Blue, he needed the money so he could get some mozzarella sticks from Helium. Ow! Oh, here's my closer. Yeah, good old Mother Goose. Remember her? I fucked her. And then I got some fucking nachos from Helium and they fucking slapped. Oh!
Fucking God. Oh shit. Oh.
Mic drop, my friend. Mic drop.
Oh, I'm a fucking puke. I'm laughing so hard. Holy. Oh, Andy, I could not ask for anything better. Thank you so fucking much.
I'll do that. I'll do that on Instagram Live if you want. Like, I'll do that anytime you need. I wrote those jingles. I'm very proud of them. I think it's very persuasive. I belong in ad marketing,
Yeah,
clearly.
100%, 100% do. Oh my gosh. All right, I'll talk to you later, and we'll get you here sometime this summer when we open back up and everything.
Dude, I can't wait. I cannot wait. And I love you, and I'm so glad to see you for a second.
I know it's been a great thing to see you too. I'll see you later though.
All right, dude. Take care. Bye.
God damn. Ladies and gentlemen, we're still here. We're still doing it. And we have the man, Zach Toscani, joining us. Order your sliders right now. Call in. I think we have someone dropping a lot of money, so it's helping. Zach, how you doing, man? Are you on mute? I think
There
you're
we
good
are.
now. Yeah. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. Just out here tap dancing so people buy sliders.
With bottle caps under your shoes?
Close.
That's a Nick Harris only joke right there.
Yeah. You gotta have met me when I was a sophomore in high school, or heard this
Right.
story after. But I've been asking people all day, and I'm curious to hear yours. Like, what are your memories about Helium?
I have a ton. The first one, honestly, that came to mind for me was, I think before you were a manager, you were like the floor manager, aka the dude who had to take care of hecklers, and you were so good at it because it didn't happen a lot, but like when it would, you would take the people out of the showroom, and then that's when the explosion would happen.
When it
Like,
gets
hey, you're
hot,
not
yeah.
coming back. So it was like really smart. And I remember it was when Dave Chappelle did that week of shows at Helium, and you guys needed to deputize some people to help run the showroom because it was going to just be slammed. Because he was doing like 3 shows every night, right? Like the
Yes.
whole week.
It's crazy.
And you were like telling me like, okay, if someone becomes a problem, this is how you handle it. And I was like, okay. I like thought like
Yeah,
I've
I gave
watched
you a
him
step by
enough.
step. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I've watched him enough. I know what to do. And then it was when Chappelle started smoking a joint on stage. There was like a two top of these huge dudes, and they both started lighting up. And you were like, "Go ahead, go tell them." And I went over and I tried to do my impression of you, where I was like, "Oh, we can't have you doing that right now." And he was like, "So what?" And I did not know what to do. I panicked immediately, and I was like, "I don't." You never got challenged. I got challenged immediately. I didn't have it. Like that guy saw it in me.
Well, yeah, I've been to the point where I've only had to call the police once on some guy. When he was in here, he was heckling Norm Macdonald or something. I was like, "Hey, you can't talk," and he's like, "It's my First Amendment right." And I was like, "No, it's not." And he goes, "Yeah, you want to get me out of here? You're gonna have to get physical." And I go, "No." And they're just like, "I'll call the police and they'll carry you out in front of all these people." And he's like, "Yeah, I don't care." So I was like, "All right." But outside of that, you usually can like talk people into going out into, "Hey, let's just talk" or something.
Right. Yeah, you would always be like, "Hey, let's just talk out here real quick," and then you're like, "Okay, you're not going back in there. We got your stuff. Your check's already taken care of. Just leave."
Well, because the goal in kicking people out is almost like removing a problem. So if you can get
Yeah.
them out the showroom, you're like, "All right, well you're out." So
Yeah.
now we can have it all out here.
You were like the Hurt Locker dude. You were like really good at like just debugging a bum. I don't even know what the term
Nah,
is.
it sucks because I didn't realize that was a talent of mine until it was a talent of mine.
Right. You like take the bomb outside of the city and let it explode on you, and you save everyone.
Yeah,
And then I came in
Dark
there
Knight
and
Rises.
you taught me everything, and then immediately first bomb, I'm just clipping. I'm like green wire, red wire, and it's just that dude was about to beat the shit out of me in the middle of the showroom because I didn't
Well,
know
it's
what
funny
to do.
That dude became cool with us. Cause I went
Oh,
over and
really?
talked to him. Yeah, I went over and talked to him. I think after you, and I was like, "Hey, man, look, you're having a fun time, whatever, but we can't have this." And then he came in like 3 or 4 more times, like, "Yo, what's up, y'all?" And he would like give joints out and shit.
Oh, damn.
Yeah,
Well,
so that was a tough
you
one, man.
turned,
That was a tough
yeah,
one.
you turned that shit into Shinola right there. I almost destroyed a Helium relationship. Um, another memory I have was, so it was like my first week hosting at the club. That was like a huge deal
Yeah.
because before that I was like every other week, maybe every 3 weeks, I'd get up and do like 3 minutes at the open mic, and I got to host for the Sklar brothers, and Nate Fritzen was the feature, and I'll never forget his name because I think it was Friday Night Late Show. I was introducing Nate, and as I was giving his credits, I was like, "Oh my God, I do not remember his name." So I give all the credit. I'm like amping it up, and I'm just thinking like, okay, just keep going. By the time you get there, it'll probably come to you. So I was like, "You've seen him on this. You've seen him on this." Hey! And then he poked his head out of the curtain, like, what the fuck? And then once I saw his face, I was like, oh, got it. And then I was like, all right, here we go. And one of the weirdest things was, and Nate was cool with it. The Sklar brothers were like, yo, it's totally fine. We all, like, that always happens. Not
Yeah,
always, but like, it's not
everyone's
like,
done
to
it.
me, I was like, I fucked up the whole show. And really, like, everyone forgets as soon as Nate went on. But I remember that being like, oh, whoa. Like, I really thought it was going to be this whole scary thing. Like, all the comics I work with were going to be like, like, don't fuck shit up. All right. You better get it right. And then
Grab
to
you
be
by the
like,
collar.
yeah. And it was just cool. And the club was cool. And yeah, it was just like uh, a really good relationship. I mean, I honestly don't think I would be a comedian if Helium wasn't at Portland, because that was the place that got me all my first opportunities, and like as and still does that. The first place I headlined was Helium. So that's very special. Like when I left Portland and got to headline it and it was packed, that was crazy because man, years before when I first started, my first open mic was the Helium open mic. Would never imagine that would happen.
Well, I think that's what's cool is that everyone who has had a going away show, you, Bree, Curtis, Alex, like they all sell out. And years prior, no one's coming out to even see you on an open mic. So I think there's this scene in Portland that is like very proud of our own or of their own, where you're like, let's support this guy. I've seen him at the open mics. I've seen him around town. Now I want to go like wish him well. And I
Right.
don't know if
Yeah,
that happens in
no.
too many other towns.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, there I think is maybe just like a handful of cities like that, and it's one of those things where uh, all these different things have to come together. It's like you have to have a great club or like a good anchor, or like it's like an anchor and kind of the dream. Everyone's aspiring to, oh, okay, I want to start working there, or I want to start doing like, I want to get 5 minutes at the
Right.
open mic. Then I get to host. Then I start doing showcases, and then I get to do. Then I maybe get to feature, and then it's just like because a lot of times in comedy there's no clear ladder to success,
Right.
which is great and terrifying at the same time. So it was nice to have some kind of like a routine. That Tuesday open mic was always like, no one was throwing comedy shows on Tuesdays because everyone went to the open mic,
Right.
which was very special. And like that whole, just the mic, like the routine of a mic was really great. Seeing comics do their first sets. I remember this one lady, it was her first time doing comedy and she brought a harp. And I was like, that is
We
insane.
talked about her earlier. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
It's not.
commitment. She
And
dragged that thing with the hopes of doing 3 minutes.
she never came back.
She
One
got
and
it
done.
all. Yeah, she was like, nailed it.
But yeah, it's like it's always been this, and I don't know if it's the comedy scene or if it's Helium. Like I can't tell you which one, but there's always been this community. Sometimes it splinters out or whatever, but it's always like Helium becomes a beacon of, oh, this is what I'm gonna try to fuck around and get to or get in or mess around with.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Another one was, and this is like related to open mics, but was when you had to cut people off. And then there was one specific instance, because if you don't know at the open mic, if you got 3 minutes, let's say, what you give them to what, 3:10? Like
I give them
you
to
have the light
3:30.
on.
Yeah, so the
Okay.
light starts flashing at 2:45, which gives you 45 seconds to get off before the mic gets cut.
Right. Right. And then if you're like not even getting close to the end of a joke or starting a new one, you'll cut the mic.
Yeah.
And then I remember one guy, you cut the mic, and he thought the mic just like the electricity went out, so he just started. He was like, "Oh, the mic's off anyway." And you had to go. Someone had to go up there and be like, "It's over."
We were talking earlier how I had to cut Preacher Lawson's mic, but he like you know what I mean? So like it didn't even phase
Yeah,
him, and I was like, and I think I had to turn music on, and I was like, I felt bad because Preacher is like Preacher Lawson. This was after
yeah,
getting
yeah,
and shit, but I was like, nah, man, you ain't going past your time around me.
yeah.
I'm
And it
not
would.
playing that.
Oh, I remember one a very fun memory is like once you get past at the clubs, it was so I got the process of that. I think I tried out to be a host, and then there was like 6 or 7 months where I didn't hear anything, and then I got like the first week. And once you get past, it's then so much fun to watch other people go through that process because they're losing their mind, and you're like, I totally get it, but now I'm on the other side of it. So it's like kind of I'm so relaxed that it seems crazy that you would be like stressing it. And I
Right, because
remember
you forgot all
Curtis,
about it.
Curtis Cook, it was his like trying out to be a host, and he went over he went over his time by like 7 minutes. And he came back and we were like, what happened? He was like, what? How much did I do? And I was like, you have to know, you just did 20 minutes.
Yeah, you did longer over than you were supposed to do, period.
Yeah, yeah. He was like, they didn't like me. And I was like, you gotta have that's crazy. You don't know how long you've been up there. I mean, maybe he's just in the groove, but that always stuck out to me.
Well, I think that was a year too where we were like, let's try not to like people to see how much time they do. Right? Where you're like, because there's certain times, you know, this being a host, there's certain times when I'm kicking someone out or something, I can't really give you a light. You have to kind
Right,
of know in your head, like, I'm around 12 or I'm around 15. Like, it's an
right,
important
right.
skill to have.
Oh, absolutely. And that was, I mean, that's another thing I benefited from the club was like that kind of a routine where it was like, okay, these are hard outs. You can't be like, even if you're, and that was you think it's easy, but then there's times where it's going so well that you're like, I don't want to
Need
leave.
more out of this thing.
I don't want to leave just yet. And then you have to be like, I have to. I got to leave some for everybody else. Um, I'm trying to think of some. Oh, I remember I had the oddest heckle I've ever gotten. Um,
This one.
was at it was when I was featuring for Joey Diaz, and he had dosed me. So and like I was fine eating an edible. He just told me that it was like way lower than it was. I think it was like I don't know, who knows, a lot. And it kicked in like halfway during my feature set. I was probably doing like 30 minutes, and it like it happened at the end of a joke, and I probably took about in real time 15 seconds of silence, but in a stand-up show that's like an eternity.
That's a long
And
time.
someone screamed, "Go home!" And
Yeah.
it like brought me back, and I was like, what did you say? Did someone say go home? And it was the table right next to where the kitchen door is, like the swinging door. And no one responded. And then I was like, wait, everyone heard someone scream go home. And then people were like, yeah. And I was like, okay, thank God. I really was so fucked up that I thought maybe I was saying it to myself.
Oh, that'd have been the funniest set I've ever seen. If you're like, did anyone hear someone yell "Go home"? And everyone's like, "No," but yes, no.
Damn, I'm heckling myself.
Oh well, Zach, man, I don't want to take too much of your time, but thank you so much for making a moment to come in and talk to me, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure.
Mm,
People, you need to eat those sliders.
Yeah, eat these
That's what it's
sliders.
about, right?
Yeah, yeah. So The second time we closed, we turned, the Slideco, or we just opened our restaurant to have the Slideco, and now hopefully we're only closed for like 2 or 3 weeks. So it's like, hey, by supporting Slideco, you're supporting Helium. So I've just been talking on this live stream about how dope Helium is with a lot of people.
Absolutely. Well, if I was in Portland, I'd order a mess of sliders, my man.
They'll be here for you when you're in August, man. You'll get a chance to try them.
Perfect. I love it.
All right, man. Thanks again. I'll talk to you later.
All right. See you, man.
All right, peace.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're still around, no one has hit me up for their story about the sliders, or no one's hit me up with a memory for free sliders. It still can happen. Coming up now, we're gonna have Dylan Jenkins come and give us his memories and talk to the people about the club. Dylan.
Right now?
Yeah, man. Live streaming. The people want to see it. So we were talking earlier about Mike Epps hitting the mic.
On everything, yeah.
The one thing I love about Helium, or one of the things, is that before Helium, I don't know if we would have ever had a chance to see that so intricately, right? Because
oh yeah,
I don't know if he would have came to a club, and I don't think he's hitting shit at his theater. Yeah, he'd have to go a long
I think
way.
he is. I have no doubt Mike Epps is slapping the shit out of some theater walls. Like he's going up, he's probably walking up to the balcony, man. He's like, "What's up?" He hit it up here. Climbing up, doing stairs, man. He's knocking on. Yeah, it's masterful, man.
It really is. Like I never saw it before that. Like even Chappelle does the hand, but I've never seen anyone like.
No, on the wall, on the table, but like I said before, off mic, him slapping the mic stand itself with the mic. It's kind of meta. That was like some Inception shit. It was like waiting to see if the dreidel topples over at the end or whatever. Yeah, you're just
gonna hit it on.
Yeah, waiting to see if it breaks reality or something.
Well, man, you've been in the audience, quote unquote. You've heard kind of what's going on. When you think of Helium, what are the memories you have about this place?
Man, just I remember like when I first started comedy, I was living out in Beaverton, and then because the signups between 6 and 7,
right?
So I just remember being like, "Yo, this is fucking rush hour."
Yeah,
like, dude, like, and like there were times when like there were a couple times where I got stuck in traffic and didn't make it in time to sign up.
Right.
And then just like being all super bitter. I mean, open mic comics aren't known for being bitter. They're known for just
cheery people.
Just being like, looking at the list and be like, I hope each one of these people are successful in this 3-minute spot. Just looking like, oh, they're gonna do great. Oh, this person here, of course, they deserve a spot on here. Not me. I'm gonna go cry driving back to Beaverton.
Right. Yeah. Well, especially when you're new, because I remember this from working the door. The open mic seems like anything can happen, right?
Yeah.
Like, because when I started, it was like Ron Funches is on the open mic, or trying to think, Shane Moss will come through, and you're like, whoa, all these cool people could just, and it seems so perfect.
Yeah.
For someone who started their way opening through the mic, how was that for you to be like, oh, I'm on here with so many cool people? And like,
oh, well, I mean, like the open mic here, that was the first set I ever did.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I remember Amy Miller was hosting.
Yeah.
And there was a dude that also signed up who was up before me. His name was Rags. His name was Rags Badger. Like, I'll never forget the name. But it was weird because I walked in and Amy saw me and she goes, "Are you Rags?"
Fuck no, I ain't no Rags.
And I'm like, I don't think so. I mean, but yeah, no. And then that was the first set, and then just then I got on another 3 months after that.
Right.
It was tight.
So the first time you do comedy, you're doing it to what? Probably 50, 60 people at an open mic.
Yeah.
What is it then like to go to a bar show and have like no one there?
Well, then it was. I remember I went to the Brody open mic the next night. Rest in peace, Brody Theater.
Yeah,
and then it was a great like. It was it was just great to just get to see both sides of it. Like, okay, you think like, oh, this, you come out here, there's a green room here, there's a host, and like set time. There's a light, and then you go to an open mic at like a black box theater where there's, you walk in like, okay, cool. There's like 20 people in the audience, but it's 9:00 and you're new, so you're going up, 40th, so you're going up close to midnight or whatever in front of the 3 people that are left.
Yeah, who made
but it's all like it's all fun. Like I mean, it's but yeah, no, this open mic was a lot better.
What and I don't know how, because I came around 2012 and the mic was always good. Like I don't know how or why, but people really showed out to the mic. And when people come out of town and they're like, "Oh, this is like a showcase."
Yeah,
it's so I don't know why. Thank you, Order Sliders, if you're out there. But
order these sliders and they look good.
But it's been such a cool and amazing thing to be a part of, where you're like, oh, this isn't normal. Like I think you can speak on it too. For me, I'm like, oh, it's normal that 80 people show up to a mic.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not normal.
No, it's not normal. But you know what else isn't normal? Delicious sliders available here at the Slider Co.
for a reasonable price.
For a reasonable price. Now you might be thinking to yourself, oh, a slider, like that's a small thing, but you got to realize there's big flavor in it. Big things come in small packages. Here at the Slider Co. See, man, my host duties, I know the plugs, man. We got to, in between each comment, heliumcomedy.com for tickets and sliders. It is tomorrow's Saturday, so we're going to have a special going, I assume, of, regular price sliders.
Yeah, I mean, because if you get 3 sliders, I think it's $2 off. So it's like $18.
If you order 4 sliders, Mike Epps will come knock it out of your hand with a microphone.
That's a guarantee.
That's deluxe, man. If you order 17 sliders, Sinbad's going to do an hour and 45 talking about the sliders. But
he'll say he's doing an hour 45. It'll be 3.
Hey, but the one time I caught a late Sinbad show, and like he did just under 2 hours, but I swear to God, an hour 20 of that was amazing, like just super funny. And then about 40 minutes of it was like, okay, you got to find it. But I was shocked by just the ratio of like just killing to silence in a 2-hour period. Like that shit was crazy. I've seen
Sinbad do long shows, and he's the only person, if you tell me, hey, someone's going to do 4 hours, I'd be like, all right.
Yeah.
Because it's 40 minutes of it's going to be, trying to find his way through. But the way that dude can kill is something unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's so, and then he has like live bands and shit. No one has more fun than Sinbad.
I bet.
It's so amazing to see. For you opening for people too, how is that? I mean, do you have any memories of that, or how has that been for you?
Oh, well, I mean, the coolest thing is like when you get a weekend with someone that like you really like, you listen to their podcasts, or you're a fan. And then it's weird because then you see like Jay Larson, when I got to host for him, I had been like, I love the Crab Feast, and like I was like, it's still one of my all-time favorite podcasts.
Right.
And so it's you got this person that like you've been listening to an hour a week for years, and then like when they walk in and you hear their voice like in real life, it's weird. Right. You're just like, oh shit, it's like the podcast. He's like, I'm just saying hello. I'm like, you're not trying to freak. You're like, yo, man, it's like the podcast. When you say hello to people, it's like the intro. Man, it's good. We're doing the pod. It's like, man, this
He's
is
like,
just,
yeah, I just was asking.
like, yeah, man. Like, I'm just asking for what. I asked you if you knew like a good rest. That the one thing I always feel stupid because like people the small talk, they'll be like, oh, so you where are you from? I'm like, oh, Portland. Oh, born and raised. Like, yeah. And they're like, oh, like what's a good restaurant? And then I just freeze. Or like, what's a cool thing to do around here? And I'm like, come to Helium Comedy Club.
Right, yeah.
Like,
people ask me that too, and I'm always like, I'm not a concierge. I don't know, man. That's what Google's for.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a fucking waterfall in the gorge or some shit. Like, I don't know.
Like my apartment. What do you want from me?
I just give like the hack answers. I'm like, Powell's.
There's this walkway on the water. They call it the water.
Yeah, like, man, if you can catch a Blazer game, but like, I don't know, like, I'm like, I'm a fucking nerd. Like, I'm like, there's an open mic here on Tuesdays.
Right, stay for that.
Yeah, that shit's tight. Just anything like that.
But yeah, it is so cool to meet people like Jay Larson when you're like, oh, you're actually cool. Like, you're actually a very nice guy. I mean, for the most part, 98%, it's all that. where you're like, oh, I enjoy you and you're fun to be around and this is the life.
Yeah.
And I think Helium's reputation plays a little part of that, where they're like, I don't want to come around and burn this bridge.
Mhm.
Like if we were shitty and you're like, I don't want to go there anyway.
Yeah.
Like, fuck all this nonsense.
Yeah.
But
for
the fact
sure.
that people are like, oh, I kind of want to come back. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
And then the fact that we usually don't work the same comics together,
Mhm.
and no matter who works a weekend, like, oh well, the host was good. Oh, the feature was good.
Yeah.
Like it's a real special, unbelievable thing that we're able to
Yeah.
have here.
Well, and it's a weird like working relationship, like because like you come in, the headliner comes in as the host, like you meet these people for like 3 days. You know, you have good shows, bad shows,
Right.
talking, and then it's like, okay, well, I'll see you whenever.
Yeah.
Type
Bon
deal.
voyage.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I definitely try and like I'm always like follow like the like leave them wanting more or whatever. Like just I don't know, especially like in the green room, like before shows, like I don't want to like badger anybody because you know people are like they're about to do a fucking hour, so like they got to get their
Yeah,
shit
let me
together,
get my mind right. Yeah.
you know. And just be remember when remember when you were on SNL? That was awesome. Like it was weird like hosting for like Tim Meadows.
Yeah.
That was some shit. Like I own the Ladies Man movie on VHS. It's a shitty movie.
It's
Like
still a movie old.
I loved it when I was a kid. And so like I was just fighting back when he walked in. I wanted to be like, man, can I buy you a fish sandwich? You know, like I just wanted to do it. Like I'm like, man, remember in Walk Hard when you were like, and you never paid for drugs, you know, like the whole weekend I was like, you know, hey man, remember in Walk Hard when you said like Dewey Cox needs to think about his entire I love that movie, man. You got to be a part of it, you know, just
Right.
because I don't like it's like kind of like a nightmare. I don't want that to come to you at the end of the week and be like, hey man, yeah, we had a great time, but the fucking host kept quoting fucking Walk Hard to me.
No,
like
I know I was in Mean Girls.
Yeah,
Okay, I get
I
it.
did that movie 20 years ago. I didn't like the producers, frankly, you know, all the shit.
Well, no, like the one thing I've really, I don't want to say I've really worked on, but everyone who kind of works here, and I guess everyone, if you watch, has been on today, has a representation of the club. Like we've never really had a person who works here where I'm like, I got to worry about them in the green room, or I might have to worry about them, you know, talking online or something. Like everyone who works here holds this place in a high regard. I think that goes from comics to me to, you know, anyone else. And you're like, let me treat it kind of special and not fuck this up.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I think leads to everyone else kind of following suit. Because if there was one person who featured here who was like, man, fuck Helium, I'll do it. And then that would trickle down, I think.
Yeah.
But the fact
I got a burner account for that. You know, like Harvey's fan 503 on Twitter is like, yo, fuck Helium. Y'all ain't shit. We're selling big burgers during the pandemic. Fuck a slider. Mondo burgers, man.
Well, Dylan, man, thank you so much for coming in and making time to come and talk.
Yeah, man. I'm thankful to be here. Free C Murder, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, Free C Murder. Ladies and gentlemen, we got about another 20 minutes before we're over this. So we'll be here all night. You can order your sliders if you get hungry around 8 o'clock. But if you're hungry now, 971-369-0450. You could come pick up your sliders, or you can always use the apps and order them that way. Now we're going to have Dan Weber on. We'll talk to him, get his memories of this place, and we'll probably play one or two more videos that I had yesterday. And then I'm going to go eat another slider. Dan, you could come on, man. Yeah, thank you. You know what I mean? Give Dan a round of applause. That's definitely.
Sure, yeah.
So, I mean, you've been here. What are your memories about this place?
Oh, well, I've been thinking about it, and I think my number one memory is the time that lady told you that the best part of every show is your announcements. That is the most hilarious way somebody tried to fuck you that I've ever heard in my life. It was amazing.
Nothing makes me more upset than that you were there to hear it.
I was there.
You know what I mean? Because if it would have happened to me, no one would believe me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not telling anyone. But the fact that you heard her come up and say, "You're my favorite part
of every show,"
is saying,
Yeah,
"Ladies and
amazing.
gentlemen, are you ready to laugh?"
No, I mean it's definitely a memory that's up there for sure. Another good memory. I mean, the time that I don't remember why I was here, and somebody came up and said, "Hey, do you want to do reading the Bible with Dan over on near Christmas Eve?" Like the very first time I ever did it here, I didn't ask. Like somebody came up and asked me if I wanted to do it, and I was like, okay, but do you know what it's like? Like, you know what we do, right? And they're like, yeah, sure. And so that was super fun. That was awesome. There was one that we did around Christmas Eve. It was like a day before Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
And this place, I mean, it was packed. There was so many people here. And that was super fun. And also the time that somebody called, so somebody called Fox News and they came and interviewed me for like what's happening tonight. So there's a video of me doing an interview with the reporter from Fox News where I say something like, yeah, the Bible's absolutely batshit. And like, and then they cut to the reporter on the broadcast and they were like, that happened. Like they were
right, what are we gonna do now?
super bummed.
Well, shockingly enough, I think we've only had one person leave reading the Bible, right? I think one lady.
There was one lady who, before every time that I've done it, I've been like, okay, this is a show where we're this is not what you think it is.
Yeah, if you think it's like, please, praise God with me, it's
not gonna be that way. And ironically, like, only a couple of people have actually walked. I've had one person who walked up to me after the show and was like, I expected to hate that because I'm super Christian. I'm a very Christian, but you just made fun of the band. It is kind of a weird book. I'm like, yeah, it's hella weird. So.
Well, I mean, the fact that you're able to do it in a way that's not mean, like it's just funny. I think that funny trumps everything. I was talking to Katie Wynn and we were talking about how sometimes she's open for Bobby Lee and like she's not Bobby Lee's crowd, right?
Right.
But the fact that she can be funny, even if they don't understand it, they'll accept it and like, okay, I can listen.
Yeah.
So if you're up here like fuck God, people are like, all right, that's not.
Yeah, that's
what
not.
Are you doing?
That's not what it's about. The one that is a funny memory, but also a little like kind of embarrassing was the time that you guys hired a couple of people to do sign language during during the Reading Bible.
We didn't hire them. So what happens is if someone calls ahead and says, I need this, we have to provide it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was, they somebody in the audience is hearing impaired. So they brought, but what's weird about it, so, I mean, it's a panel show. So there's a bunch of people talking at the same time and watching the interpreters try to keep up with that.
I mean, now, because there's just two of them.
Yeah. And there's like, I think at that show, there was like 5 people on stage. So yeah, but those are some of my better memories doing that. And, just, and I remember all the crazy people that came through that, because if people don't know, you're so kind that you put up, like if somebody signs up and they're going to be weird, they go up in the first 2.
I try to,
so everybody can come out and watch them just like freak out.
Yeah.
And those have been, some of those things have been super delightful for sure.
I mean, I think that people start to realize that I do a little bit for me too. Like, because I've seen everyone set so many times and I still appreciate it, but sometimes you need something a little stronger.
Yeah.
And to see somebody come out here with like, a puppet or some shit, and they're like, you suck. Like, it's so fun. Or someone where this is gonna go off the rails.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think the one that I think of often was Portland's Most Wanted. The guy who signed up as Portland's Most Wanted.
Yeah.
And tried to skateboard on stage.
Right.
The thing was, that guy had done so many mushrooms that he was in the green room like 5 minutes before, weeping and talking about his kid. And then he came out here and I was sitting in the back and he walked up and he was like, hey man, can you watch my skateboard? And I was like, sure. And he's like, I don't trust you. You have long hair. Like, wanted to fight me right afterwards and then put his skateboard down. I was like, dude, you need to get in the green room because they're going to call your name. It's like, what are you talking about, man? I'm just going to roll up there and do my thing.
Oh,
like, oh, man. Perfect. So he came walking out of the crowd.
We were probably 8 minutes too late, right? Like if he would have made it up on stage, he would have definitely got his mic cut, but we would have heard some of the craziest shit. Yeah. But he just snapped and we were like,
he just snapped and tried to do an ollie on the fucking stage.
The fucking
and then you basically tackled him and threw him through walked him out.
It's funny, the only 2 times I've ever done that was through that door. I threw Portland's Most Wanted out that way, and then this lady who ended up coming back in the showroom, and that's how I got hit in the glass, or in the head with the glass. I pulled her out, and she pulled those Christmas lights off. It was nuts. It was through that door.
Damn.
That's a safe door though, because you're like, we're here, and then the stairs.
Yeah.
Hopefully, don't trip down them.
Yeah.
Portland's funniest went quick down those stairs.
He probably did. Yeah. Yeah, he had to get outside because he was starting to melt down. Probably like the walls were melting or some shit.
If anyone's out there still watching, if you want to come do mushrooms in the open mic, I promise I'll put you on. I promise. Well, Dan, you've been around like kind of from the beginning.
Yeah,
I mean, old Portland comedy scene.
Yeah.
Have you noticed the difference in the way the city responds to comedy, or in the way comedians respond to comedy since Helium's kind of come out?
I think it's just gotten more important. I think it's gotten to be more of a goal for a lot of people,
right,
who want to host here, want to get on, because legitimately, one of the best reasons to work at Helium, just, you get to host for really cool people and meet a lot of cool folks, but just getting to do the open mic every week is like fucking enormous. Like that's huge, and a lot of people want that, so they try to get that. They try to come in and sell out or whatever, do well at the open mic to be able to do that. And when I got to do it, it was amazing. It was one of my favorite things. And honestly, I knew I would like it, but I didn't know how much until I got to do it. I was like, oh shit, like, this is amazing. Every week I get to come in and I've got some weird idea. Let's go see if it works. And,
right, because you get the chance to fuck it. If it don't work, I'm here next week.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have to. I mean, I obviously don't want to bomb, but right. I mean, nobody does. But I at least feel like I can try out shit.
And if it works, it works. If it doesn't,
then it gets thrown out. Because if it doesn't work at Helium, it doesn't fucking work. Right. Like I do. One thing about the open mic that some people, I don't know, don't realize is that if you do a set here and you get a smattering of chuckles, you might as well have bombed, because this room is so fucking hot for the open mic. Like if you don't crush, your joke was shit. Like right. So like you really need to do well, or you're just like, I feel like I just bombed if I just got a smattering of chuckles. I'm like, God.
Well, damn, yeah, because there's a bar a response, right? Like, and if that happens here, you're like, ooh, that was not good.
Bad.
Yeah,
it's super bad, but
polite.
But there's a lot of people who've only done, get to do open mics at bars where everybody's playing video poker. So if they hear a chuckle, they're like, oh, great. And it's like, man, you gotta rethink. You gotta reset the levels for what you're expecting of yourself.
As far as getting on to be able to do the mics every week.
Yeah.
Is that like the main goal? Like, you're my last interview, so I guess I'll ask you this. But is that like, that's where I want to be? Or is it like, and I guess how do I ask this? Is it like, I want to just stay in Portland and be able to do this? Or do people feel Helium's like aspirational to where you're like, I can move up anywhere? I'm at the best club, one of the best clubs ever. If I can make it here, I can make it anywhere type of shit.
Yeah, I think that's the second. The latter is probably true. I mean, the reason to why you want to get to be able to do that every week is because you get to work out. Like I had this writing process where I would do a set here at the end of the week. So I would start doing an idea at this shithole called the Lamp that would happen after Helium.
Yeah.
So I would go there and try a joke for the first time, and I knew it would probably bomb, but it was like, I don't care. Like if I get anything out of this, I'll try it for the rest of the week. And then I would work it out at all the mics I would do that week. And then at the last thing would be here. I would come here and try the idea out. And that would tell me whether or not it was worth keeping. Because if it didn't work out here after I worked on it for a whole week, it sucked. But if it worked, then, there's got to be something there.
Right. Like I remember seeing Shane Torres do that goddamn undercover cop joke.
Dude,
so many times, because he was like, there's something there. There's something there. I don't think anything was ever there, but
I disagree. I think that idea.
I think coming from him, I don't know if it ever worked on stage.
I mean, legit. That was such a good idea.
Brilliant premise.
Yeah,
but that's more of like
somehow he just couldn't sell it, and
not connected.
Because I mean, Shane is brilliant.
He's one of the best stand-ups I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's super super funny, and how I never could figure out, like, why can't you make this money idea that no one has ever talked about work? Because I mean, legitimately, being an undercover cop is a weird fucking like the first one
first
had to have
one
been
had
weird
to
as
be
shit.
like, yeah, stop joking.
Yeah, what are you
So-
talking about? Yeah, I want to go be a criminal, but for you. And it's like, what? Fuck off. And then- right?
Yeah. Oh, I love that premise. But yeah,
Yeah.
it never worked. But it's always funny to see people try things here. I mean, I like that more than I think. And of course, you know, like Chris was here earlier and he's like, you know, have hot five before you come to Helium. Of course, it's not a bad idea, but I love seeing people work things through here.
Yeah.
That's the one thing, if I could say something bad about Helium that we don't have, is that people are almost like, well, I don't want to do my first mic at Helium and fuck up. But you can. I mean, Dylan did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did it a bunch.
Right. Like it's I've always wanted it to be like, well, Helium special, of course. You don't go and fuck around, but you can feel safe and there's like safety there and you can kind of try things out.
I think so. This is something that I learned when I'd left town to go to Chicago for a little while.
Right.
Is that you always at an open mic need to try new shit. Because I when I went to Chicago, I had a couple people tell me like, just do your A material at open mics. And I tried that for like 5 days. And I was like, this is fucking stupid. I'm not going to do this anymore. And I threw all that shit out. And then it started doing better in Chicago because people thought I was weird and hated because they could tell. They could tell this is shit that I do. I do for people who paid money to see it. Like
Right.
I'm not gonna throw this away at an open mic anymore.
Well, and I think that there's a vibe to an open mic that if you can't fake loose, right? If you're
Yeah.
going through like I've done this so many times, you can't fake like, oh yeah, I'm loose.
I definitely can't take that for sure.
Well, Dan, we're gonna end this thing. Thank you for being the last one.
Sure. Well, I mean, I just wanted to give it one other
go
thing.
Ahead, go ahead. We
before-
got 10 minutes.
I just if as far as hosting goes, I really lucked out on the first time I got
Who
to
was your
host.
first?
It was Moses Storm.
Oh yeah.
So but it wasn't supposed to be. It was supposed to be like Jay Moore, and then he had to leave, and then it was like
Chris Tucker.
Chris Tucker, and then he had to cancel. And so I didn't even know who it was going to be. And Moses Storm came as like a last minute thing. And I saw his name and I'm like, how fucking funny can this guy be? He's got a made up fake name. Like I was sure that was a fake name.
Oh yeah.
And then clearly it wasn't. And it was awesome to watch him work. And that was a great way to like do my first hosting set.
Yeah, I
for
mean,
sure.
sometimes you get so lucky with someone like a Moses or who else? Like Kellen Erskine was here recently,
Yeah.
where I was like, "Who the fuck are you?" And then you're like, "Oh, you're
Yeah,
fucking cool."
He's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's so many people who, I mean, we've talked all day kind of about how like you get the super mega stars, but then you'll have someone like a Dan Cummins 12 years ago, where you're
Yeah.
like, "Who is this guy?" And he ends up being the sweetest, coolest person of all
Yeah.
time.
I will say that I don't think that there's anyone in comedy nicer than Dan Soder.
Oh no,
No,
Nah,
he's the nicest person I think that I've ever met. Period. Like anywhere of any place, anytime.
I'm terrified of him for that reason. Like, there's got to be something. You know what I mean? Like when it came out, not to say Dan Soder's Cosby, but when it came out that Cosby was making all those ladies, you're like, kind of makes sense, man. You was like super nice. You're hiding something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would have made that connection. I don't think. I want to go on the record as saying I don't think Dan Soder is anything like Bill Cosby.
I don't either. He's actually has good comedy specials.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's one of the nicest, cool. And there's no way that I would have ever met Dan Soder if it wasn't for Helium, right? Because he's not
Yeah.
a theater guy yet, but he's not out here doing shit clubs. So
No.
you have to almost be one of these 15, 16, 17 clubs in the country
Yeah.
that people still choose to go to.
Yeah.
Same with Greg Proops.
Yeah, I
Um,
got to work with him too, and it was amazing. He's
Right.
so awesome.
And
Like,
there's people who are like, I'm not wasting time at these nonsense clubs. So the
Yeah.
fact that we're a club that people want to go to, it changes a lot of the dynamics for us.
yeah, I've only been to one other club that probably comes close, and that was State on Madison.
I think
Comedy on State. Comedy on State in Madison.
I mean, they're there. Acme is there. Comedy Works, Vermont Comedy Club, DC Improv. I've heard great things. Most Heliums.
Right.
You know, a couple in LA, a couple in Los Angeles. Why am I saying that twice? I'm thinking of Austin, Cap City.
Oh yeah.
Then you have like the Cellar. Like there's places that are golden, and there's not a lot. I mean, if we're talking about businesses and I said there's only 20 good restaurants in the country, you'd be like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But the fact there's really only 20, 25 good comedy clubs is.
Yeah, I mean the other club in town is really just a nacho restaurant that has people go up and talk at you while you fucking eat enjoy your delicious nachos.
Right.
Actually, not even delicious. They fucking suck. Actually,
Yeah,
they're terrible.
It's a place, and I think all these places I've mentioned are all places that put comedy at the forefront.
Yes.
That they're like, comedy comes before. Well, I don't want to say profit, but it comes before we make a ton of money. It comes before I get you another drink. It comes before I'm worried about the stat. Like, when comedy is king, everything else flows.
Yeah, it'll just be a much better place all the way around.
Right.
And Helium, honestly, is I used to come here for a little while because I didn't have cable or whatever. I would just come here and watch Blazer games.
Right.
And then I would come in and watch like the headliner for a little while, and sometimes I would stay, and sometimes I would walk out and go finish watching the game. I mean, not every comedian's for everybody.
Everyone, right? But yeah, the fact that we were able to do that, it makes me so happy, and I think it makes everyone on the staff happy too. That you're like, oh, comics want to be here,
Yeah.
right? And in turn, that makes them happy, and it feeds into itself and just becomes a place of cool and greatness, I guess.
Yeah, it's a fucking rad place.
Yeah.
You should support it if you can.
Well, you got to eat. There's not anyone out here who doesn't have to eat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So order some sliders. We're here till 1 a.m. tonight, so you have time. You have a lot of time.
Plenty of time.
So order some sliders. You can still call in 971-369-0450. And then you have to come pick it up, or you can go through all the apps and go through it that way. So Dan, thank you again for being out here.
Thanks, man.
Everyone, I hope you enjoyed this. And I'm sure you're probably hungry now, so order some damn sliders. Everyone be good. Thanks.
Take it easy.
Cool. Thanks, Sean.
Sure, man.